I am not seeing this.
Okay.
I thought I had this so nailed.
I'm not sure how to help you then. You may want to try leaving and then coming back to the meeting.
Okay, I'll
Does
try.
that help?
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, I will have to do that. I am very sorry for this, but okay, so I'm out of here. But I'll be back.
Okay.
There we go. Hello? Ha. Got it to work. Yay, but I can't hear you guys.
No one's talking yet.
Oh, okay. There you are. Whew. Okay. Move this over so I can get Novus open. I admit I was in the middle of a rehearsal and I completely forgot this, so I got on really quick. Sorry. Should have set my alarm earlier.
I guess I'll just start with reading and then I'll take the roll. This Meridian Arts Commission, it was a rescheduled, but it's a regular meeting for June 2020. And the Meridian Arts Commission exists to develop, advance, and nurture all facets of the arts to enhance the quality of life for Meridian residents and its visitors. And I will start with the roll call attendance. Lizzie Taylor. And that's a good way to check and see if we have our audio and everything too. So maybe Liz, check and make sure you're not muted. Because I see she's here, but we just can't hear her right now. So Jessica Peters.
Present.
Bonnie Zahn Griffith. Leslie Mall, that I'm here. Maria Tsompa. Jennifer Cavanis Williams. Logan Cloninger.
Present.
Hi. And is Joe attending with us today? Councilman Joe Borton. All right. So seeing that we do have a quorum, we will go ahead and get the meeting started. First thing up is to adopt the agenda. If there's nothing to be brought out, Audrey, do you have anything that it looks good to me. If there's anything to be brought up, we would consider a motion to adopt the agenda.
Madam Chair, this is Emily. Audrey, did the one that got noticed for today have the correct date on it?
Yes, I
Okay.
changed the date and
Okay.
got it.
Thank you. The one I have on my link still says Thursday, but I think that's fine.
Oh, okay, yeah, mine says Monday.
Oh, okay. I have an old link then.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
All right, thanks for clarifying that. We do have the correct date on the agenda, the latest version of it. So we would consider a motion to adopt the agenda.
Madam Chair, I move that we adopt the agenda as written.
Second? I think we have people that have their microphones muted because I'm pretty sure there would have been a second. So can everyone check to make sure that your microphone icon is not like X'd out? I could hear Logan. I can hear Emily.
Madam Chair, I think I did it correctly. Can you hear me now?
Yes, there you are.
Good.
So right now what we're doing is we have a motion from Jessica to adopt the agenda and we need a second.
Madam Chair, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great. Now we have the approval of the minutes. And if there's nothing to be brought out for clarification, then we would consider a motion. It looks good to me. All right, is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the minutes from the May 14th regular Meridian Arts Commission meeting.
Second?
Madam Chair, I second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, moving on then to the approval of the monthly expenses. Audrey, could you take us through that a little?
Madam Chair, I don't have anything to add.
Okay, great. We received it on Novus, so if there are no questions or anything to be brought up for clarification, we consider a motion.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the monthly expenses.
Is there a second?
Madam Chair, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Okay, now we have approved section for the traffic box wraps 2020. Who's presenting this? Is Jessica? Would you like to present that?
Oh. Okay. Audrey, were you prepared to bring those up to show everybody?
Madam Chair, Commissioners, I included an attachment that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
everyone
right in
can
the Novus.
access with the
Yeah.
the artwork that was selected, and
Okay.
Jessica, I believe, can either review the selection process or just inform the commissioners about the artwork.
Yeah, so I am just opening up the selection on my computer now. For those who aren't aware, or just to refresh your memory on the process, so I don't remember if it was last year or 2 years ago, we approved a repository of art. So we voted on pieces that were submitted for consideration and selected the ones that would be part of our repository. And being in the repository does not guarantee that any piece will be placed on Traffic Box, but those are the options that we have to choose from. So the Public Art Subcommittee reviewed the pieces that are still in the repository and voted separately. We sent our votes in to Audrey separately, and then because I don't think that there were any specific ones that got a majority of the vote, we went through them again and voted on the top I think there were, I don't remember how many there were, but the top number of pieces. And so the ones that were included in the packet that will be wrapped this year in 2020 are Under the Sea by Julie Edwards, Ensemble Cast by Monel Smith, The Magic of Reading by Rhea Wardle, Lima by Susan L. Cox, and Reflections by Lisa Bauer. So we have not decided what locations those will be placed at. Usually we do decide on that during the selection process. We didn't get a chance to do that this time. So Audrey, can you let us know how those locations will be selected? Are we going to have to review those as a subcommittee, or how does that work?
Madam Chair and Commissioners, there is a traffic box location plan that was laid out a couple years ago. And so in the last several days, I've gone around and just looked at all the traffic boxes around town, or most of them. I haven't gone and seen all of them, just to check on their conditions. And most of the artwork are in very good condition still, so I think we can let those stay. And then I can, if the subcommittee prefers, I can come back to the subcommittee with potential locations, or I could just move forward with the plan that was laid out a couple years ago.
I'm fine either way. I don't know if we need to vote on it. I'm good with just letting you decide what locations they go at. So we do, as sort of a guide, we do try to choose locations that you know, have something to do with the piece if possible. That's obviously not always possible, but if there are places that sort of seem like logical fits, then we can try for that.
Yeah, I'm great with Audrey identifying and finding the best place for each one without having to come up to have us circle back to it. I'm totally cool with that. Especially if you are, Jessica, and especially it sounds like you've been out driving around and looking more actively and more recently than we have. So that sounds like that makes a lot of sense. So, and these are beautiful choices. Thank you to the Public Art Committee. Really beautiful. Very diverse too. A lot of difference between them. So thank you. Are there any other questions with regard to that, that agenda item? And if not, we will need to have a motion to approve the recommendation of the 5 traffic box art wraps for 2020. Is there anything for clarification or any more questions, or can we hear a motion? Nobody.
No, all right. I guess I'll provide the motion again. Madam Chair, I move that we approve the 5 pieces selected for traffic box wraps for 2020.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great. Oh my gosh, now I've lost my agenda. Hold, please. So sorry. All right. So moving on to, I believe, item 3 there. Approve the initial point gallery call to artists. Do we have Bonnie? Okay, Audrey, do you want to take us through that then?
Madam Chair, Ms. Bonnie wasn't able to join us today, but if you open the link that was the attachment to the agenda, you can see the initial point gallery call to artists that the initial point gallery subcommittee put together. It is mostly the same as we've used from year to year, with just some edits, including requesting more information from the artists and adding more details about the amounts of space in the gallery.
Good.
But for the most part, it's the same. The plan, if you remember from last time, that was put forward by the Initial Point Gallery is to, in this meeting, approve or adjust this call to artists. And then as soon as we get approval, we can, send it out and disperse it to the community and gather applications through the end of July. Then once we close the application process, which I think will be on July 26th, the Initial Point Gallery Subcommittee will meet together to put together the 2021 Initial Point Gallery calendar.
Okay, great. And I think the clarifications to the space and the hanging and the display were really helpful. I think that will artists. And I think this is a good updated call to artists. It looks really good. I think it's clearer than our last one was. I think it's an improved, definitely. So,
Madam Chair,
yes.
Madam Chair, I just have one change. It's very minor to suggest in the section artwork guidelines. So the last few sentences discuss two-dimensional work should not exceed 5 feet in height. So regarding the dimensions, an apostrophe is used to denote feet. I think it would be better to spell out feet instead, just so that there's no confusion. Some folks get those notations and inches kind of confused sometimes. So, to spell out feet for the heights and then the display cases, all those dimensions to use feet instead. Very minor edit, but otherwise I think it looks great. So thank you to the Initial Point Gallery Subcommittee for putting this together.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you. And that's a good clarification. I'm wondering if we leave the little dash thing, boy, I'm a person that would need feet, obviously. And then maybe in parent, put feet. Would that be confusing or?
Could you tell me what page you're looking at? I'm trying to find
Yes, sorry. So this is basically the top of page 2.
Jessica, I follow and I think it's a great edit and I can help Audrey make that.
Okay, thank you.
I think it'd be, yeah.
I think so too. I think that's a really good call. That might be, it's confusing. So excellent. Yes. And thanks for the Initial Point Art Gallery Subcommittee for all their work on this. And Emily, you too. I'm sure you and Audrey have been part of this process liberally throughout the way. So thank you all. And can we then approve it as amended with the addition of the word written out feet?
Do you need a motion?
Yes.
I move that we approve the call to artists as amended.
Second?
Seconded.
Who did that second come from?
That's Bonnie. I just got here. I'm sorry I'm late, Madam Chair.
Hi, Bonnie. Welcome. Let the record reflect that Bonnie has joined the meeting. And we have a motion and a second to approve as amended the Initial Point Gallery 2021 call to artists. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great. Very good. On to the next item. I'm so sorry. I'm really not good at switching back and forth between screens and Novus, and it takes me a minute. Okay, so we're on new business 4D to approve request for statements of interest for public and private mural project. So Jessica, do you want to set that up?
Sure. So I think as we talked about in our last full MAC meeting, I'm just refreshing my brain about this. So we are moving forward with a Meridian mural project. So we are hoping to we have the funds to put 2 or 3 murals on buildings in downtown Meridian, but also I think elsewhere in Meridian as well, if folks show interest in it. So we have put together, thank you, Lizzie. She led the charge on putting the statement of interest together, and she did a great job with that. So thank you again, Lizzie, for your great work on that. So we have a statement of interest, and this is what will be going out to businesses to let us know if they're interested in having a mural painted on one wall of their building, and list the information that they'll need to supply, which includes contact information for the building owner if they don't also own the building, since many businesses just rent a space in a building. So if this is approved today, it will go out to the public tomorrow, and the deadline for applications is 11:59 p.m. on August 2nd. So folks will have a good bit of time to pull together the information and submit their statement of interest. And then the next step will be that the Public Art Subcommittee will review these and select the businesses that we think provide the best opportunity for murals. And then we'll put out a request for proposals for artists. So that will go out in the fall. And the plan now is to have those murals painted next spring. So that's where we are right now. One thing that we talked about as a subcommittee is that this project provides a great opportunity to focus on diversity and inclusion in Meridian. And I think it would be really great for us to make sure that as many business owners as possible are informed about this project so that they have an opportunity to apply. And that includes businesses that may be owned by people from underrepresented groups in Meridian. So and then, it would be also great to have, to incorporate the diversity in the murals themselves as well. So that's something that we'll be talking about as we move forward with the project. So right now, we need everyone to approve this statement of interest. And if it's approved, then it would be great for everyone on the commission to help us get the word out as widely as possible about this project. I think we've already discussed contacting the Meridian Chamber of Commerce and the Meridian Downtown Business Association to make sure they know about this. And I think Lizzie had mentioned a developer as well who would be interested in this topic. So that's where we're at.
I have one thing under the final bullet, a short description of a possible desired mural theme: nature, agriculture, landscape, animals, water. Could we expand that to say urban and graphic or modern, or to give, because all of that is from nature, which is great, because nature starts, and then agriculture, landscape, animals, and water are all part of nature. Those are like subdivisions of it, but it's not actually a different type. So maybe maybe the visual artist could put some words on this that would be, because obviously this is going out to business owners, not artists at this point. So, but just to get them thinking, especially with what you just talked about with diversity and wanting to reach out to less represented parts of our society, of our community as well, putting a couple of descriptive words into that sentence that would get their minds working in that direction from the get-go. So Bonnie, Lizzie, do you think something urban would be graphic, urban, modern, folk? Are there any descriptors that you could think will get the business community thinking in that direction, that would expand on.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Liz here. I would not, any of those would be fine. When I wrote that, I just maybe came to a mental standstill and included those. But that's,
So much detail, and thank you for doing this.
but I would not, Madam Chair, use the word graphic because that has a connotation that I do not think wish to promote.
Yes, and I was thinking graphic art. That is such a good catch. We're going out to a community that, yeah, that would be the opposite of what we want to.
Yes.
Thank you.
Can we mention, oh, not animation, but something along those lines that still connotes, you know, we know what the graphic arts means. You know, it's like comic books and comics and maybe illustration
Or
would be better.
abstract.
Would the term pop art fit?
Ooh,
Pop
I
art
think
can
that could
sometimes
work.
I like that.
That's a type of that's a type of art, I think. Could we also include like community themes or something?
Community-based
I-
thing.
Yeah.
I like community a lot.
Mm-hmm. So far what we have on the table is urban, abstract, community themes. There was another one that was good. That pop art.
Illustration, yeah.
So pop art, urban, community themed, and abstract. Does that kind of expand the Bonnie you're thinking?
You know, you might include traditional
Okay.
art. So you can think, so people could, or you don't want to rule something out, but it should be, what's the term for general, you know, for general GP, general viewing, you know, not X-rated, you know, nothing graphic. You don't want something political, right? You don't want something
Yeah.
racial, right? You want, it should be general, I don't know.
General community acceptability standards
Right.
There you go.
Yes.
that meets general expected community standards.
Meets general expected community standards. That's a good phrase.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So that might be another bullet, right? Or would that be a short?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
So they can suggest really whatever they want. And then, you know, it does have to pass, you know, some criteria. But I don't know that we need to limit them at this point. It's something that's kind of a more in-depth conversation. This bullet point is really about what are your ideas? Like, what did you have in mind?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point.
So I don't think we need to cover community standards in this document.
Okay, right, because it comes through a filtering process on the way. Okay.
Yeah, it won't get very far if it's not appropriate.
So Madam Chair, can I suggest maybe amending this list
Mhm.
to say maybe nature, rural, urban, you know, abstract,
Pop up.
you know, illustration or community themes, for example.
Yeah. Did that hit all the genres that were brought up? We have abstract. Oh, I'm sorry to lose it. Okay, so
It was a long list.
illustrative. Yes.
Madam Chair, I have written down urban, modern, abstract, community theme, illustration. Is that the
Um,
list that and nature.
Yeah, so I would say nature and maybe rural, which could encompass agriculture or just sort of landscape type.
Right. Yeah, I think that's good. I think that'll spark them and kind of get them thinking across a broad theme. And I love the word etc. because that kind of sparks them, but they're not limited to.
Or, yeah, or Madam Chair, to use the term such as, you know,
Mhm.
traditional, urban community, etc.
Right. Oh, and we didn't have traditional on that list, Audrey. Traditional. That's a good. Yeah, I like it. This is great. So this will be another is there anything else to be brought out by anyone that? Great. If so, we can go ahead and consider a motion on the document as amended.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the request for statements of interest as amended.
Is there a second?
Madam Chair, excuse me, Madam Chair, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Thank you. That was good. And thank you, Lizzie, for doing that. That's a lot of work. So we're going on. Yes.
Madam Chair, sorry for the interruption. I had volunteered to get the statement of interest as amended to the Meridian Chamber of Commerce. I have a very good working relationship with Sean Evans, who is the CEO. How do I get that to give to him, provided when I send him a little note in the next day or so saying, would you be willing to do this for us? And he will write back, I'm sure, saying yes. How do I get that which I need to send to him so he can send it out to the chamber?
Audrey and Emily, can you help on that?
Send the PDF to all the commissioners so that Lizzie can send it to Chamber of Commerce, but any of the commissioners can send it to any friends, family, contacts that they feel would be interested, as well as any organizations that you might know that would also be interested in applying. And that goes for the request for statements of interest in the mural project and the initial point gallery call to artists. I can email those PDFs to all the commissioners.
Good. I'm losing a little bit of what you're saying, Audrey. Maybe you speak more directly into the mic or something. Yeah, I'm losing words, and I'm sure they're important. So there you go.
Madam Chair, I was just saying that.
Better.
Better? Okay. I was saying that I can email the commissioners PDF of both the initial point gallery call to artists
That mic's direction.
so that commissioners can help in the dispersal process by sending friends, family, acquaintances, businesses, that would be interested in applying both the initial point gallery and the project.
Okay. And that mic is so directional that the minute you move just the tiny bit off it, we start to lose you. Darn it.
That's good to know. That's good to know.
Okay. All right. Great. So did that answer your question, Lizzie?
Madam Chair, I was also losing Audrey. So if I might ask for a clarification that Audrey will send each commissioner a document with an attached, I would guess, PDF that we as commissioners are free to send to appropriate people, in my case, the Chamber of Commerce. Is there any particular wording that I need to use to Sean at the chamber requesting their cooperation, or can I just do a nice little note to him? Does that need all sorts of approval, or can I just do it?
I believe that once we've approved the document, you can go ahead and share it.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Really and freely. Get the word out. Great. Thank you for being willing to do that. Awesome. Okay, so moving on, we have old business action, but we didn't have anything under there. So to 6, we have reports from the Initial Point Gallery Subcommittee. Bonnie?
Okay, Madam Chair, we met a little over a week ago, I guess. And so the gallery show for this month is Fred Choate. And I wasn't able to go to the opening. I don't know if who all was there, but hopefully it was a good opening. And then I think, Audrey, you've got the call out, right, to, that's been posted for call to artists for 21. Correct?
I will, Madam Chair, I will be posting that and
Okay.
distributing it to a list with break forms now that it's been approved.
And so we've got, right. We did that, and then so we were getting it approved, so then it'll go out. But and so then we'll meet at the end of July, I think on the 26th, to review the responses to the call to artists, and then look over the lists of who we have, and do some selecting for 21.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, anything else to add? Any questions? If not, we'll move on to the update for the Public Art Subcommittee. Jessica.
Yeah, so I think we've pretty much already covered everything in this meeting that we talked about. We met on June 4th. I've gone over the process for the statement of interest. And we've talked about the traffic box selections. We'll be meeting, our next meeting is July 16th. We're also still trying to move forward with our public art plan progress. And I know that Audrey has been in touch with Meredith to try to schedule either an in-person or a virtual meeting sometime in July. So Audrey, what have you guys been talking more about that lately?
Madam Chair and Commissioners, the latest thing that Meredith and I have been doing, we've been scheduling meetings with employees around City Hall to talk about future public art endeavors that we could be involved with. So we've been talking with our pathways manager, and he talks about potential pathways that can have public art, or is involved in public art. We're meeting with our parks director tomorrow.
I hate to tell you this, but we still can't hear you. Can you just put your, like a rock star?
Like this. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
As close as I can get. Madam Chair and the Commissioners, I was just saying that Meredith and I have met with our pathways manager tomorrow. We're meeting with the parks director and various other city employees in the next couple of weeks to talk with them about public art and how we can partner with them to or design public art into their. It's been very interesting and enlightening, so we're going to keep moving with that. Unfortunately, we cannot fly Meredith out. I just received that. As of COVID-19, we're going to do a workshop with her. So see what that looks like virtually, and then I will let you like to see that happen.
Okay.
Hear that?
Got most of that. How can you get it? I'm trying to lip read. Yeah, we got most of that. Thank you. Thank you. And that will be, could you make sure that in the minutes that what you just said is quite clear, so that for the record, if there's anything that in the recording wasn't quite clear on the mic, that it's down. But I think I got the gist. Are there any questions?
Madam Chair, I think I'll just summarize kind of what Audrey said. They've been meeting with folks at City Hall, and it sounds like we're not able to fly Meredith out here because of COVID-19. So sounds like we will be setting up a virtual meeting with her and the commissioners, as well as it would be great to give her a tour around town somehow. So I don't know how we're going to do that, but we'll move forward with virtual meetings with her, and maybe at some point we can bring her out if things look better. So is that right, Audrey? Did I capture it? Cool.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Are there any questions for the Public Art Committee? If not, we move on to the update for the events and outreach. And since Maria's not here, Audrey, would you like to kind of sum up what we did, or I can?
Madam Chair, since you were at the subcommittee,
Actually, yes. And my sound is better. Okay, good. Yeah, we talked about Art Week. We've chosen to consider moving it back to the original dates. The reason being that in our agenda setting meeting with the mayor this month, he suggested that, well, he made some really good suggestions. He suggested that consistency is always best when you're trying to build an audience. This is true. Absolutely. He also felt that last week in August is where we'd move it back to, it's really hot. It's right before the kids are going back to school, or oftentimes it's the first week of school. So it's not ideal that way. And he made a very interesting comment that I really liked and was intrigued by. He said, you guys are building a strong event. You need to basically not be afraid of competition. You know, he said, we've got the block party going on, but the Arts Commission is strong. Move forward. At the same time, all will be well, and we can cross-pollinate because we can still have, we decided to still have, to take the concerts on Broadway flag that's usually out on the street. We're going to put it in Kleiner Park that day to advertise for the evening concert, because it will be on the same day. The neighborhood block party is on the same day as the concert on the 12th. And so try to cross-pollinate those audiences a little bit by having a presence at Kleiner Park during Art Week. And also we talked about the fact that the Meridian Arts Foundation we usually coordinate, it's always ended up being on that Thursday of Art Week that they do their art sip. So what we thought is, I talked to James Fullenwider just because the mayor had suggested that we needed to know the date of that. So I called him, and they don't have a date because they decided to take it online this year because of COVID. So in that conversation, he brought up that one of their major sponsors is a tech company that's downtown. So he said they were looking into maybe doing some kind of a remote during Art Week. So maybe this will all be them. So we won't have anything to do with it other than coordinating with them to find the space that they would like to put the remote. You know, I'm sure it will be some kind of a screen or something on a table, a display. But I thought that was a great idea. And so for Art Week, we'll put it back to the second, correct me, Audrey, if I'm wrong, the second week in September, right?
that's right.
To the original dates. We will look at the fact that it's during the block party as a positive, because we'll have a presence there. We'll advertise for the concerts on Broadway. And, you know, maybe if Meridian Arts Foundation wanted to, if they chose to put something down there, that could be close to us. And we'll work with them to find a space if the Meridian Arts Foundation decides to have a remote set up for the art sip, that we'll have that somewhere present too. So it'll be 3 events coming together in a really exciting time, a week for arts in Meridian from a lot of different perspectives. So do we need to approve the changing back of the date? We don't, do we?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I wasn't aware that there was a discussion to change the dates. My notes from our meeting in March indicate that our week would be September 9th through the 12th. And I don't have any meetings to show that we had discussed this as a group otherwise. So maybe there's nothing more that we need to do because it wasn't a group decision to change it.
Yeah, I think it's just, and we don't have it on an action item anyway, so we couldn't take action on it today. But yeah, so back to the original date, and that's the reasoning. But I thought that Emily's okay. But I thought that the input from the mayor was interesting to add to the update. So on that's the way that's going. Does anybody have any questions about that, or are we all?
So, Madam Chair,
Yes.
the you indicated that it's the second week of September, but is it not correct that it would be the week following Labor Day, which could be the first or the second week?
Right, and we looked at that and decided that the 9th to the 12th were the specific dates for this year.
Right.
Is that cool with everybody? And then the 12th is the last concert. Speaking of the next,
Right.
the next concerts on Broadway is the 12th. So that would be the 4 days lead, 9, 10, 11, 12, the 3, yeah, 4 days. Well, 3 days leading up to the 12th. So yes. Okay, so concerts on Broadway. We're still hoping that we can have them in September, and one will be dovetailed with, it's Kings of Swing that will be the one that is on the 12th. So we're going forward with those contracts, and everything's just looking good. One really fun possibility is that it's been just an update. We don't have to do anything, but it's been talked about possibly having the Taste of Meridian come to one of the concerts on Broadway, since the mayor's address is digital this year, is online. There won't be the Taste of Meridian afterwards. I don't know how many of you guys have gone to that, but after the mayor's address, they always have Taste of Meridian over in a different building, and it's different local restaurants that come, and everybody comes and tastes from all the different restaurants. It's really fun. So they're considering the possibility of moving Taste of Meridian to one of the concert nights, which would be great since we can never seem to wrangle a food truck that doesn't catch on fire or have something awful happen. We've struggled in that area. So yeah, that's about it. Do you have anything else to add on concerts on Broadway, Audrey?
Madam Chair, I don't. We are
Madam
working on
Chair,
the last
I'd
contract.
like to add that I think it's a superb idea to have Taste of Meridian at a concert on Broadway. The reason being, my husband and I have gone to the mayor's address for the last 100 years and always gone to the tasting, the Taste of Meridian thing afterwards. There are restaurants that we need to support, particularly now. There are restaurants that we wouldn't have thought about going to had we not been exposed to them through Taste of Meridian. And I'll tell you, for $10 or whatever it was per ticket, you didn't have to eat for about 2 days after that.
I know.
They were wonderful, wonderful events. So I'm very, very much in favor of that.
Yes, I was excited to hear that too, and I hope it happens. So thank you for that input. And it is, I love going to that Taste of Meridian. I've discovered good food that's in Meridian that I didn't know was there. So, and especially, like you said, Lizzie, especially in this time, the restaurants certainly need our support and our anything that we can do to give them that boost. So yes, so that's it for the events and outreach subcommittee. And we had moving on to, unless there's anything else to be brought up there, we'll move on to item 6D. That's well wishes for Ginny Hell. Ginny has had to go off the commission because of a health issue that's resolvable. She's going to be fine. It's a surgery, but she just didn't feel like she had enough time to properly dedicate. She will still remain involved, and really, really wants to remain involved in the arts in Meridian, but she just didn't feel like right now was the right time for her to serve. So we'd like to thank her for her service and say that we'll miss her. We didn't get to have her for very long, but hopefully she'll be able to come back with us at some point and be involved. So thank you to Ginny Hale. And with that, we have our next meeting in July. I can't believe it. Just seems like we've been like in this weird time warp. It feels like it shouldn't be July. Plus, it's so cold. But our next meeting is July 9th. So if there's nothing else to be brought up, we will consider our final motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair, I have something that I'd like to bring up very briefly. Kind of going back to this topic of diversity and inclusion.
We're going backwards in the agenda to the.
No, just kind of tying in with that topic. I think that, diversity and the arts go hand in hand. And I think it would be a great idea and I wanted to get everyone else's thoughts about this, to maybe include some diversity training or a discussion about diversity and inclusion at next month's meeting. If that's something that we could put on the agenda. I don't have any ideas about topics or who might lead it, but I could work with Audrey to, and with you and whoever else is interested, to develop something that we could discuss at our meeting next month about diversity in Meridian. I am on a group called Unity Through Inclusion, which was originally a city-sponsored initiative, and the group just decided to become more of a grassroots group instead of being city-sponsored. And we have pulled together a lot of information about diversity in Meridian in terms of statistics and things like that. So perhaps I could invite someone from the group to give a little presentation about Meridian and sort of the, what the social and what the makeup of Meridian is and where there might be some community needs. And perhaps we could discuss how to really incorporate more of that into the work that we do with the arts.
I love that. So as part of our adjournment, we're receiving a request to add to our next meeting an agenda item that has to do with encouraging diversity and including education and what could we say? Encouraging community unity through diversity to the agenda. And yes, inviting someone to address that would be wonderful.
Great.
So we have that agenda item for next. Thank you, Jessica.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your work in that area.
Yeah. I mentioned to the group about our mural project, and they're going to also help us get the word out, and they're pretty excited about it as well. So
awesome. So with that request for the agenda item to be put on that next time, would you like to include that in your motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Okay.
I move that we add an item to next month's agenda regarding diversity and inclusion in Meridian. And I also move that we adjourn for today.
Second?
Seconded?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nobody opposes that motion. All right, thank you so much. Be safe, and we will see you soon.